I'm Nathan. This is the At Odd Show. Please listen.
Forget what you learned in school. Never mind what your parents told you, and disregard what your friends say. From now on, the only people you need to listen to are these guys. For the next several minutes, they'll take you on a journey through the political jungle. And when your journey is over and you're safe at home, they promise you'll be stronger, smarter, and just plain better. So buckle up, hang on to your ears, because your journey starts now.
That lady, when she screamed, she also got an instant message on Facebook, I think, while she was screaming.
She did. And
so that was cool.
Oh, well, I have to respond to that.
Yeah, someday
I'll learn to turn that down.
Unfortunately,
it's my sister, and she's going, Are you on right now? Yes.
Right. I can, yeah. Okay. Well, welcome to At Odds.
Welcome. How did your week go, Nate?
Not too bad.
Oh, come on, that's not true.
No, it's true.
You had a birthday yesterday.
I did.
September 11th, the day that will live in infamy.
Yeah.
And you were what, 21, 19, 56, what, 41?
21.
21 again.
Yeah.
For the eighth time?
Finally served me at the bar.
Well, which
worked out pretty well.
I heard, yeah. What was that, getting home 5 a.m, partying like a rock star?
No, that's actually not at all what happened.
Couple of women on your arm?
Yeah, right.
No,
I didn't do much.
Your band played last night.
Yeah, we did play pretty early, but
yeah. Well, that was good.
Haven't been feeling well today.
No, I imagine not, since you've been, partying like a rock star. Oh, today is Thursday, September 12th. We're broadcasting from the back room of the Heavy Metal Barn Studio in a large city. In what country, Nate?
Ethiopia.
They have a lot of heavy metal bars there. That's not too racist.
That's offensive.
Very
that
offensive.
Is offensive.
Except I just said hello to everyone in Ethiopia.
We shouldn't make fun of third world countries because they only exist because of the United States of America being so big and greedy.
That's true.
If the United States of America wasn't greedy, places like Haiti and Ethiopia, where we send tons of aid, they would be rich as well. Well, nobody would be rich.
Nobody, but
everybody would be
equal, and everybody would have a nice grass hut.
They would,
and Wi-Fi, where they could listen to this show and be insulted by us.
Yep.
Oh, look, it's our email. It's an Ethiopian address.
Ooh.
You know what it says?
How do they write? I don't get it. It's tough.
It's lots of little symbols in there. All right. It's a live political talk show.
On Thursdays at 8.
You can call. We're live when we're not, unless we're not. We're 248-455-ODDS. That's 248-455-6337. Give us a call and chastise us for being so racist.
Especially if you're in Ethiopia right now.
Yes, please.
Call us.
It's toll free from Ethiopia,
and we'll accept the charges if you're from Ethiopia.
If you are from Ethiopia,
So that's. Does anybody call collect anymore? That's kind of...
I don't know. It's been a long time, but
yeah, you remember those 1-800-collect commercials? A couple of years ago, really.
I remember. I grew up with a party line.
Yeah,
it wasn't that long ago. Rotary phones.
Yeah.
3 channels on the TV.
So I don't know.
Blatz beer in the refrigerator.
Everybody's been,
Lucky Stripes for cigarettes.
Obviously,
life was good.
Everybody's aware of the crap going on with Syria, but
really? We're going into the show
luckily, that's all solved, and we don't even have to. Our friends, the Russians, have decided to handle it for us. They came up with a great idea after John Kerry, our Secretary of State, made a mistake that they're playing off as not a mistake.
What did he?
And
what mistake did
well,
he
he
make?
he was giving a speech, and he just says, I mean, it's I wouldn't call it war, but it's gonna be war. But
really
if they
war?
would just like hand over their weapons within a week, we wouldn't attack them. It was just an offhand, not policy. It wasn't the official policy of the United States when he said it.
He was ad-libbing.
Yeah, but exactly. He went off prompter. But then as soon as he says that, then the Russian Putin says, well, yeah, they'll get rid of their weapons, and Syria's like, well, yeah, maybe, and then you won't attack us. And so the president has to,
Suck
our
it up.
representative said that this is what we'll do, so what are you going to do?
Not just a representative, the Secretary of State.
Yeah, the guy that's kind of supposed to deal with these
big
issues.
honcho ambassador.
Yeah, so, and the president, after waiting years to do anything, and then rushing Congress to vote, has now said, well, let's not vote yet because we need to see how this plays out.
Diplomacy.
Because if Syria is willing to hand their chemical weapons over to Russia and Iran, then we won't have to attack Syria.
Which are two good countries to hand over chemical weapons to, by the way.
Well, where do you think they're going to go?
I mean,
or where do you think
I don't think they're going to have
went?
room to store them because they have so many already. It's like, where are we going to put these things? I just don't know.
No, I'm sure they'll
put them in the back.
I'm sure they'll be safely destroyed and never used ever.
Yeah, I'm sure. Or sold on the black market.
No, of course not.
I need some plutonium. That was a reference to Back to the Future, I guess.
But the weird thing, this came up within like the last week, and our president gave a speech Tuesday night, I think it was. And it was obvious that he had the speech written a week before that already.
And didn't update it.
Right. He tacked on to the end of it the Russia stuff, talking about trying to make a case of why we should attack Syria. And then he gets to a point and says, but we don't have to attack Syria because of Russia.
Didn't you say his best speechwriter quit?
Yeah, a while ago. I mean, he has more, but he had a speechwriter quit a while ago.
Not too good lately.
No.
You'd think you'd have people on that. Oh, by the way, Mr. President, you might want to update that.
You would think being a constitutional professor in college, he wouldn't say things like this.
That's my judgment as Commander-in-Chief. But I'm also the president of the world's oldest constitutional democracy.
The president of what?
What was that?
But I'm also the president of the world's oldest constitutional democracy.
Say what?
Now that's news to me because I do not live in a constitutional democracy, and I thought that Mr. Obama was the president of the country that I live in, which is the United States of America. He's also the president of the world's oldest constitutional democracy, and I didn't know that. In fact, I didn't know that was allowed.
No, I don't think that's correct.
He's not also president of another country?
Well, he may have a night job. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Times are tough. A lot of people have second jobs.
It's really bad.
He could have one.
It's really bad when your president has to get a second job to support his family.
Thank you. Come again. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if I get the reference there. But
he's working at a convenience
Is
store.
Apu our president?
Yeah, I think so.
I think he is.
That's his speechwriter. Anyways,
okay.
What?
So here's the point. In case you didn't get it.
I think most of our listeners got it.
Constitutional republic.
Yeah, there is a difference between a democracy and a republic.
A huge difference. Democracies fail almost always.
Well, the way our republic is going.
No, sure. Yeah, maybe it just takes a little longer.
Takes a little longer.
Well, I mean, you look at Egypt. And exactly what we're looking to do in Syria is there's a dictator that we don't like because they're not Islamic extremists. So what our president wants to do is remove them and replace them with Islamic extremists, the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. But they're democratically elected because they have more guns than the other people, and they're willing to behead the people that don't agree with them. So they get elected.
Yeah. Those videos are awful.
They get elected, and then the people say, well, yeah, it was democratically elected, but we don't like it. And they overthrow him, and then our president, it was a democracy. Well, that's what happens in a democracy. Like you've said 100 times and thousands of other people have said, it's two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. that's why democracies don't really work. I mean,
Republics.
We have ballot initiatives and things that work sort of as a democracy, and they generally work out until the court decides they know better. But this country is not a constitutional democracy. That's just all there is to it. And he was a constitutional professor.
Well,
he said.
Yeah.
He said so.
We have witnesses that say he never taught a class, so I
we've
don't
seen
know.
his transcripts, right?
No.
Oh, and we haven't. So
None of his college transcripts
we
have been
haven't
available.
seen any.
Most
That's interesting.
opaque president ever.
Well, I mean,
For being the most transparent.
If you talk to Jay Carney, you'll find out that he has been, in fact, the most transparent president in recent history, if not ever.
I disagree with that.
Well, so do I, but
I strongly disagree.
so we may not have to attack Syria. We might anyway, but they might have
they're
their
just-
weapons over.
They're just little bombs. They'll hardly even notice.
Oh, that was the other thing
Yeah.
from his speech that that he's.
Just little bombs.
Well, yeah. So we have John Kerry talking for the last 3 weeks of this is going to be unbelievably small.
Just
this attack,
tiny.
unbelievably small.
Hardly notice.
And then the president completely contradicting, saying, "Our military does not do pinpricks." Like the one time that this ass tried to grow a spine,
They do pricks.
actually try to look tough.
Yeah.
Right. This scrawny little bike rider with a helmet on his bell tries to look tough and say the
don't know where
U.S.
that came
military does not do pinpricks.
Yeah.
Is the time that he's completely contradicting his Secretary of State.
Let me get this in here in case I haven't said it before. Worst president ever.
Within the same speech, he said, whatever we do in Syria, we have to make sure it doesn't affect Israel. 2 seconds later, whatever we do, Israel can protect themselves.
They can take care of themselves.
Well, which is it? Which is it?
Does he? I don't think. Does he have a proofreader? I think it's like the Korean aircraft with we too low and bing bang bong and ooh wee foo.
So what you're saying?
Yeah.
He would be an excellent news anchor.
News anchor because he can read anything that's on the teleprompter.
When the teleprompter falls over like it did,
he's screwed.
He has no clue what to do.
Once
Once one teleprompter falls, he never looks at that side of the audience. He's always staring the other way. I'm talking right to you there.
Those people have left the building. I'm just looking at you people over here because you're nice.
Oh, it's not funny that he's so bad at his job.
Boy.
What's not funny is that he was elected twice. Coming up on a third time. Holy cow.
And then I don't know. You want to move on because the UN is sticking their nose in our business even more. Did you see this where the UN wants the Obama administration to make a decision on federal charges for George Zimmerman? We're still talking about George Zimmerman. And the UN wants the administration to decide if Zimmerman will face federal charges because they say states are required to take effective measures to review governmental, national, and local policies and to amend, rescind, or nullify any laws and regulations which have the effect of creating or perpetuating racial discrimination wherever it exists, said special reporter on racism, Butuma Rudutera.
That wasn't even close.
Not even close.
Well, okay.
So my point is, really, F you, UN.
Where this is coming from is
F you, UN. That's foon.
Foon.
It's very foon.
Where this is
crap.
They have a special committee, a subgroup on racism in countries. And
well, good for them.
to deal with all of the
But this has nothing to do with racism. It's been shown in an American court of law.
No, but you understand that that's what the federal government is investigating.
Of course
I do. Whether it
do.
was a hate crime. My point is, this subgroup is made up of people from countries like Spain and Italy, where we know racism, especially against Africans,
doesn't exist.
Running rampant.
Oh, wait a minute. That's just the exact opposite of what I heard.
Yeah. Well, that's because what you heard is the truth, and what I said was sarcastic.
I'm not so sure.
It was.
Okay. They have a lot of racism over there.
So, yeah.
I mean, Italy has laws against gypsies and getting rid of them. So,
yeah, and so we want them looking at these laws, at the laws in the United States, and telling us what's best for individuals in the United States. This is an individual case, one specific case that the UN is commenting on.
To a state. Not even the whole country. It's not even a federal case.
Right. Well, I mean, they're trying
Not
to make it
yet.
a federal case.
Yeah, they are.
That's the whole point. But
It's not gonna make it.
ridiculous because we shouldn't even be entertaining it here in the United States.
I do agree with them. They're saying either poop or get off the pot. And I agree with that. Either make the decision or not, have a backbone, and not press charges because there's no racism at all.
No. Now,
And by not making a decision, they're perpetuating the idea that they're looking into it, and it might be credible that there was racism. So that's kind of why they're not making a decision, in my opinion. It's crap.
now you see that everyone who thought George Zimmerman was innocent, obviously proven wrong when he was arrested, kept in a jail cell for days because he pointed a gun at his ex-wife. Did you see that whole thing?
Yeah, but
Let's see, what were the facts?
Yeah.
They didn't find the gun at all. He wasn't ever arrested.
They have video cameras. They're
Interesting.
investigating. She rescinded her report.
Yeah.
There was really no damage to her dad. I mean,
Yeah, so on the 911 call, she's saying he has a gun and he's going to shoot us.
right. Oh, my dad needs an ambulance.
And
He's all bloody.
the police showed up and didn't find the gun. There was no gun.
not only
And
that,
they
but
have
there were
security
lots of
cameras.
witnesses.
George Zimmerman's full-time bodyguard was there.
And apparently there were 50 people in the yard doing utility work or something, because
Probably.
I read the police report and they had like 15 witnesses.
Yeah.
And all of them said, was there any violence? No.
No.
Was there any issue? No. So it was basically an ugly divorce. She was trying to get back at him for whatever. And
Yeah, it's too bad. We need to just leave them alone. Let them do their thing. He's going to have trouble. I mean, we knew he'd have trouble for the rest of his life, but
sure. He's
even
gonna be
little
dogged forever.
disagreements with the person he's getting a divorce
everything's
from.
going to be blown out of
Yeah, it's going to be
proportion.
blown up, and there's going to be a gun. It doesn't matter what he does.
Right.
There will be a gun involved
Right.
when you hear it in the media.
And maybe, it's a good thing that he does have a bodyguard, and I guess I wouldn't even have a gun or own a gun, so that when they say,
I would for sure, but
Well,
I mean, come on.
maybe I would.
Yeah, you can't give up your rights because you were wrongly accused
You're
of
right.
something.
You're right. When you're right, you're right.
But at least he has a witness with him,
Yeah.
so he better pay the guy a little extra if he's
I
going to
w-
do something bad.
I would have a video camera implanted on my forehead.
so no one can take it.
Yeah, no one can take it, and it's
Oh.
running all the time.
You know how much that would annoy the police? The ones that like to take people's cameras.
Yeah, they cut your head off.
They probably would.
We're taking the camera. Okay. Kind of cool news. 2 million bikers on DC. Wasn't quite 2 million, but I've heard anywhere from 100,000 to and DC police were saying almost 1 million.
Yeah, all the numbers
Doesn't
I saw
really
were
matter.
right around 1 million.
There were
There were
ton
way
of them.
more than 100. Okay, I was watching the live video cam.
Who said
for
100?
40. You just did 100,000, whatever. There were way
Well,
more than that.
I read an article and they actually said 75,000 people were reported.
No way. No way.
I
know what you're saying.
I'm just saying.
I was watching the live traffic cam as they're coming in
Yeah.
for 40 minutes.
Did
It was
you
just
count 'em?
Steady. No, but I'm just saying.
Why didn't
40
you do
minutes of
your science stuff
steady?
and count how many passed your view within 5 seconds and then interpolate
average it?
and then multiply that by and then take the square root of that?
Because
and
I knew the DC police would give us a very accurate number.
1 million.
So it's about 1 million. Now, the funny thing was this was on the same day of the Million Muslim March,
Well,
which was renamed to the Americans Against Fear March or whatever.
And which was renamed to the maybe a dozen Muslim
Yeah, so
March.
a couple hundred Muslims showed up. So both groups were off by about 1 million.
I heard repeatedly 25.
Yeah, me too. I think
that half of those people were repressed.
Okay, so what would happen in this case in the media is the Muslims march would definitely get inflated. The bikers who are doing the right thing
Deflated.
way deflated. So I think there were probably about 1 million bikers, which is holy cow.
Right.
I mean, really? And for
That's incredible.
That's
the logistics.
great.
The logistics of
yeah,
that.
you're not just asking people
Peaceful.
to go there.
They were joining up through the whole country. They were just
Yeah.
meeting. They knew the route. They were well coordinated. You imagine if they were all armed going on a revolt or rebellion, 1 million bikers, just the 1 million bikers, let alone the other. Anyways, I've probably said too much. Now, the point is, there is no point. What I wanted to say was they were denied the permit, and they basically said, okay, that's fine. We don't need a permit to ride our bikes through D.C.
Yeah,
We'll
well,
follow all the traffic laws, and we'll make it 8 hours instead of an hour.
So that's what they wanted the permit for, really, was to help with traffic.
Block traffic, so they could just
let
quickly
us go through the stop signs,
Yep.
and we won't worry about it. We'll be through.
It'll be done. Boom.
They didn't want that. Now the DC police and the state police did work with them.
Yes,
they did.
Block
help
traffic
and help. So that was great.
They got actually, I heard they got a lot of thumbs up from the DC police and stuff. So.
Yep. And I heard the same for the state troopers. But
there was a nice image
really
of a Marine in dress uniform saluting them on a boulevard as they went by.
Yep.
And that was pretty cool. I don't know what that tells you about America and the mindset of the country. And
I was watching reports come in, on Facebook and some other places, people posting whatever. Not long after I heard that they showed up in D.C., I saw the first report of federal agents, attacking people and arresting people and all this ridiculous stuff too, which I thought was really interesting.
You mean arresting like the bikers?
The bikers.
Oh,
I don't think it was true at all.
No.
But it was, put everyone
Hyperbole.
into a panic. And at least one biker did get hurt, which was pretty sad.
I didn't hear about that.
Gotten
accident or something?
Yeah.
Well, you can imagine
dumped his bike
people.
somewhere. And,
somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah. So
I read a nice article about a reporter. It was a female reporter. I think she was an independent journalist, and she wanted to go to the Muslim march, and she was like in D.C. and she was in a cab, and she's asked the cab driver, who, this sounds racist, was Muslim, where is everybody? What's going on? And the cab driver says, there's no Muslims going to show up to this thing. And she said, well, where is it supposed to be? In the meantime, the bikes are going by, right? And apparently a biker stopped, saw her, and asked her, what she's doing. And he says, I'll take you to where the action is. Jump on. And she jumps on the back of his bike. Strangers. Well, they get talking.
I have candy.
We're going to go on a one-way trip. Only one of us are going back.
Well, you are, yeah.
No. That's pretty dark and disgusting.
No, he was a nice guy. Like all of them that were there.
Not only that, but apparently he was a flight attendant that worked for the airline, and two of his buddies, which was a husband and wife, were killed.
Really?
They were on one of the
planes. Yeah, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, they were on one of the planes, and the reporter was female, and her husband was blinded as a soldier in Afghanistan.
Okay.
So they started talking.
Yeah, they had a connection there for sure.
She had a great story. Then they as they're driving through, another guy comes up, and he's got a chunk of cement, which was from the Pentagon. And they had another connection. So she wrote a whole heartwarming story about what brought them there. So, anyways,
I saw it. I didn't read it all.
I know. They got words in there. And you looked at the pictures, though.
Yeah, I did. There were some pretty good pictures. I wonder. See, something I was wondering, because the timing of the Million Muslim March was interesting. To do it on September 11th, that's interesting timing.
Do you think that was a coincidence? Come on.
No, it obviously wasn't a coincidence, but that doesn't mean anybody that showed up was... No, the ones showed up that had signs that said 9/11 truth now, obviously they're morons.
Well,
but, I wonder if it says almost as much for the country that we have 1 million bikers show up for good and freedom. Does it say almost as much that we have very few people show up to this radical march on September 11th? You know what I mean?
What's the radical march?
The Americans Against Fear or whatever. I mean, you look at the groups that are backing it, and it's not just we want to get together for freedom group. That's not what their intention was.
Well, that's what I wonder. What was their intention? Because I didn't look into the groups that were sponsoring it and backing it.
Yeah,
let's face it. There's lots of Muslims that are great, wonderful people.
That's exactly my point.
And loving and wouldn't hurt a fly.
That's exactly my point.
And that's fine. Were they that groups? And if they were, okay.
That's my point. Those people, not everybody at their march was bad at that, and I'm not saying that. But those people didn't go to the march, and that's my point. Does that say something, too? That when you have a big rally that people don't agree with, and nobody shows up to it. I mean, that's also a good sign, I'd say. And we see that with a lot of these radical marches. I mean, Occupy Wall Street was kind of different.
Anti-gun groups always have small turnout.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they're louder in the long run. And
Well, that's because they have the press.
well, and you look like
That
in
back 'em.
Colorado, right? They had people elected specifically to get drugs legalized, but then they moved on to gun control. They passed crazy gun control laws.
and that and that goes where the Second Amendment is winning. We keep winning all the time. People keep wanting to take guns away, and it's just not going to work. Colorado lawmakers recalled, right? That's where you were going.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
they passed one of the worst and most restrictive gun laws in the country. 3 or 4 other states, sort of followed suit, but Colorado, which you would think would be a pro-gun state, hunting, fishing, independent. You get a small group of people that get elected in small little groups like Denver that are very liberal and so on. And they decided that they were going to have a recall election. Tuesday they had the election, and guess what? 2 state senators were recalled.
Replaced by Republicans, both of them.
And in case you wondered, I mean, the vote was 51% to 49%, so it was close. But it said that, but many. It says, in Colorado Springs, the majority of registered voters are Democrats, but many are conservative-leaning, and 23% of the Democrats in Colorado Springs voted for the recall. So it wasn't just a party issue. This was a rights issue. It was a Second Amendment issue. The people spoke, and I think it chilled a lot of legislators, not only in Colorado, but across the country, because even people in Washington are talking about it. They're going to think twice before they get on the anti-gun bandwagon.
I certainly hope so. And, I mean, I think you can tie this back to Scott Walker in Wisconsin.
Right.
His recall that he won.
Right.
When they tried to recall him because he was so bad and didn't want the unions to get things that they couldn't afford.
Yeah.
I mean, I think things...
Well,
people are awake.
There's other stuff happening in Wisconsin recently.
Sure.
I mean, in the last day or two.
Yep.
With arresting protesters. Now, unless they're doing something illegal, I think they have a right to protest at the Capitol.
Absolutely.
I would think.
Yeah.
And now the federal government's involved. They're going to decide whether these arrests were lawful and all that. But anyways, let's digress.
I mean, we had a similar issue here in Michigan with the right to work stuff, with people protesting in the Capitol when they really weren't allowed to be in there, and they got moved out, and it turned into a big thing of, we're suppressing the voices of the people. And
they were in the building,
and
that was kind of a different issue. For me, people should be able to protest outside on the Capitol grounds anytime they want. They shouldn't need a permit to do it. If they're peacefully assembling, they should do it. And there's a lot of states that don't allow that. It was amazing when we were organizing the Second Amendment March in D.C., we were trying to get other states on board, and they had to get permission from their state government to actually have an event on Capitol grounds.
Well, even in Michigan, you have to file paperwork for certain things.
You do not.
No,
you don't.
At all?
No.
Just use the facilities then?
You can go on the Capitol grounds and do whatever you want as long as it's peaceful and stuff. They like you to, let them know what's going on, but you don't need a permit for that. Anyways, we're getting... Illinois court, real quick. Illinois court said the Second Amendment right applies outside the home. There was an issue with allowing people to carry guns outside their home. There was a case where someone defended himself outside his home. He was jailed because, he used a gun to protect himself, and they said, no, you've got to reverse that conviction. Big win in Illinois, which can be used for other arguments around the country. So,
yeah, good stuff. We're going to take a quick break. Actually, we're hopefully coming back with another musician this week. I believe Xander is probably his name. He's a metal guitarist.
A different genre?
Different genre, not country music this time. Good old metal. So we will head to break here and
hopefully be back with Xander.
We will.
The voice of American conservatism. WRS Digital, Red State Talk Radio.
My Parents Open Carry, a pro-gun kids book from White Feather Press. 13-year-old Brenna and her parents spend their day in typical fashion. But what's not so typical is that Brenna's parents lawfully open carry handguns for self-defense. And the Strongs join a growing number of families who are standing up for their Second Amendment right and bringing gun ownership out of the closet. Order your copy of this unique kids book at myparentsopencarry.com.
Fact. U.S. credit card debt is 8 times larger than it was 30 years ago. No wonder you and I are feeling the credit card crunch. You're not alone. Increasing prices and the costs of credit are stretching budgets and preventing people just like us from getting ahead or just catching up with our debts. At American Financial Debt Relief, we can help. We have tested ways to help you get out of debt. Find out how now. The call is free to learn more. If you qualify, we can reduce your interest, show you how to stop your debt from getting larger, and help you get out of debt faster than you can by making minimum payments. So if you're falling behind on your credit cards or medical bills, give us a call right now, where a free 5-minute call can change your life.
800-978-4815. 800-978-4815. Reduce your credit card debt. Call now. 800-978-4815. 800-978-4815.
Sentinels on high, moonlight guides the trail we
And we're back. We do have Xander Demos. He's one of today's premier shred metal guitarists. He's based in Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh, I think, is how you pronounce that one.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He currently fronts his own solo band, the Xander Demos Band, and he does natural tribute acts with James Riviera. He does Sabbath, Judas... Sabbath? What? I don't know all that stuff. He performs...
Oh, you're really prepared for this intro, weren't you?
He performs...
All right, come on.
And over 100 times a year, he's active in recording collaborations with artists all over the world. He's an animal lover. He's got deals with guitar companies where they do a Xander guitar. And he's always looking for projects that help beautiful creatures. He donates a lot of money to those organizations, especially the ASPCA. And we'd like to welcome tonight Xander. How you doing?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good.
Great.
I screwed that up for you, but that's the gist.
It's typical, so you'll have to get used to that with Brian.
Why don't you tell us a little bit up? We played one of your songs. What's the name of that song? Did you hear it?
Oh, actually, I did not hear it.
Oh, well.
Was it the one with vocals?
Under a Darkened Sky, yes.
Under a Darkened Sky.
Under Darkened Sky. There you go.
Great. I loved it. I thought it was very good. I thought your vocals were great. And you can pick a mean guitar.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
So how long you been playing, and how'd you get involved?
I've been playing now 31 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
You don't look that old.
A little bit there.
Yeah.
And I got started in the early days of MTV. I think like a lot of people my age.
Oh, yeah. So you stayed up at night and watched all the videos and stuff, and your parents said, "Turn that crap down."
Yeah. Yeah, well, my parents, the first thing they bought me was a drum kit, and I wasn't terribly good on it. And then when I got a guitar, they were like, "Okay, well, he'll probably grow out of this," because my dad, I think he wanted me to be a jock or something like that, and I ended up being like a metalhead, and I think that kind of let him down a little bit, but at least I did a little. I was serious about it.
Well, the thing is,
it was,
nobody likes a drummer. I just want to let you know the co-host Nate, he's a drummer in a psychobilly band. So, just to give you a little insight.
Okay.
It's true. Nobody likes drummers.
Nobody likes drummers. Ever since Ringo Starr, I think.
Yeah, he ruined it
Buddy
for
Rich
everybody.
was the last great drummer, but that goes back a lot of years. All right, so you started doing guitaring, and what are your guitar sponsors now? What companies?
Well, I'm with Sir Guitars, and then David Thomas McNaught Guitars out of North Carolina. He's the one that actually makes my signature model, signature series, just simply called the XD. And I also have a customized guitar coming from Conklin. I actually don't have as many guitars as people think. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, I see with a different guitar all the time," but I kind of rob Peter to pay Paul. I usually end up. I'll buy one, and then I might have like 4 or 5 floating around, and what I end up doing is I end up getting rid of one for another one, kind of thing. But the sponsorships I have, I mean, those are the ones I usually take on the road with me.
Well, what's your favorite? I mean, what do you just say? All right, if I'm going to play any guitar, I'm gonna play this one.
Honestly, my favorite it's got to be probably my signature guitar, and I'm not just saying that. I'm saying that because I've owned several McNaught guitars, and whenever I've gotten one. Each time I purchased one, it was always better than the one before. It seemed like, And finally, when you said, "Hey, we're gonna go ahead and do your signature guitar, and here's the specs, and here's what we're gonna do with it," then he ends up delivering it to me, and I was kind of stunned when I first got it because I couldn't believe like how good it actually was. It was pretty much perfect.
Huh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So it's one of the things where when I'm playing it, I'm like, wow. I sound really good on this one. I got to pick up another guitar, and I'm like, man, I can't play this guitar anymore. I just play mine.
We before we get into the fun stuff in politics and things that I'm sure you're rearing ready to talk about, how can someone find out more about you? Maybe pick up one of your albums or and whatnot. You have a website?
Yes, absolutely. It's just simply XanderDemos.com. It's XanderDemos.com. I also. You can get to the website via XanderDemos.com with a Z. I reserve that domain as well because a lot of people, they just hear Xander and they're like, "Oh, you must spell it with a Z."
Yeah,
I spell it with an X.
Smart.
Is that short for Alexander?
Alexander's my full name. Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't gone by Alex though in years. I mean, I think I went by Alex when I was a little kid, and then as I started dating, I ended up dating a girl named Alex a long time ago.
Yeah.
And, and then in high school, there was a whole bunch of Alexes in my high school, and they're all girls. So my sister actually is the one that came up with it. She's like, "Why don't you just go by Xander?" And my mom's like, "Don't tell him to go by that. That's a terrible name." And my sister's like, "No, that actually sounds kind of cool. It sounds, he's into heavy metal. I think it works, and it kind of stuck, So.
It does. It does. All right. Well, now we're getting into heavy stuff. Thoughts on Syria? What do you think we should do?
It's that's a slippery slope. Obviously, I think it's the kind of thing where I'm not a big fan of liberals. Okay, that's my problem.
Okay.
And I think that all these people on the left shot their mouth off a lot to Bush whenever he was doing his thing over in the Middle East, and now all of a sudden it's okay if Obama does it. It seems kind of unfair.
Hypocrisy.
But I think that I know that nobody wants to see little kids getting gassed. Obviously, that's pretty terrible. But I think that maybe it should be like a United Nations issue at this point. I actually, to be honest with you, that's the one thing I haven't been studying up on as much. I mean, I've kind of the things that have been a little bit closer to the chest with me have been like the gun stuff and all that stuff. So Syria really hasn't really. I haven't really studied up on it too much, but from what I've seen of it, I just think that I still think that the posturing that like Harry Reid and those guys are doing, saying that we made a threat of force, and now we actually got the diplomatic solution we wanted. I'm thinking, that's a crock. That's not what happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to say that you're not smart enough to pull it off, Harry.
Yeah, no, I think everything you said is exactly right, and they're completely discounting the fact that Saddam Hussein in Iraq had used chemical weapons before we attacked. So it's the same situation, but it was Bush. He's a Republican, so he's evil. Let's move on to gun control. What's your thoughts on the Second Amendment, gun control, and an individual's right to own any firearm they want? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I am definitely a hardcore Second Amendment supporter, as big as they come. I don't have a problem with people that have mental issues having a harder time getting guns. I will say that. It does. I mean, I am the last person to ever blame a gun for any kind of crime that has been committed. It's basically like Darth Vader's lightsaber just jumping out of his holster and start swinging around. No, it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? It's somebody has to shoot the weapon, so therefore, if you blame the person, don't blame the weapon. So I mean, I have like the 41 state carry permit and all that, and I've been a hardcore gun advocate for a long time. All the guns I have though are like they're all the tactical ones. They're like all the fun guns. You know what I mean? They're all the like the AR-15s, and I have Glocks, and I have the Chris Super V, and I have like all kinds of really fun weapons and stuff. But I'm not going to sit there and pay $25,000 for an automatic HK MP5.
Well, that's
a shame
because
they're
it's
up that high.
Yeah, it's because it's regulated.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
and I don't mind that. I mean, I don't think it's. I think the price gouging sucks. I got to be honest with you there. But I mean, I don't mind the fact that they're the automatic weapons are somewhat regulated.
Oh, so you're not a Second Amendment guy.
Well, no, I am. I mean, the thing is,
well, you can't have it both
that,
ways.
Well, again, that's kind of like a weird spot. I mean, I don't mind the fact that you have to get a Class 3 permit to get it. I should say.
Well,
yeah, and,
you know what I mean.
I think you're in line with most people in the United States. I completely disagree with you. 100% disagree with you on that one.
Yeah. As do I.
We can agree to disagree on that. Have you been following the crap in Colorado? Colorado got a bunch of liberals elected. They passed ridiculous gun control
I think they
laws.
got recalled, right?
Yeah, two of the Democrats got recalled. Do you think that's kind of a message that'll be sent out, and maybe some of the other liberals in other states will see it, or even at the federal level,
at the national
and
level,
think before they do something next time?
I hope so. I mean, I think that the fact that an AR-15, which is not even that great of a gun, cost $4,000 after Newtown was ridiculous.
Right.
But then again, it's capitalism. I mean, you can't deny the fact they were like, hey.
Yeah, but it's artificial. It was artificially created.
Exactly,
yeah,
and I mean, but it was also done out of panic. And I mean, I got to admit that even I was stocking up on some ammo, and I even bought like an extra Glock 45 and a couple of other things, just in case. Just to revisit that issue about automatics real quick, though. I believe me, I would love to be able to have everything automatic. I don't have a problem with that. I just think, like I said, I think it's. I've shot automatics before, and in my opinion, is they kind of suck, unless it's like a really expensive one to begin with. You know what I mean?
Since you're revisiting, we'll say that's not the issue, though. That's individual choice. The fact is the government is regulating whether you can own it or not. Whether you decide to own it,
I don't like that. I do agree with you on that. But then again, like I said, like where it comes to suppressors and all that kind of stuff, it never, like for me, I'm not a criminal. I don't have a background, so I never had to worry about if I want to go get a Class 3 weapon, I can go get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. I guess we're on the subject now, but the real problem with that is a lot of people that aren't criminals and don't have a criminal background or anything, they get denied because the system isn't good. So I agree with you on that, 100%. Absolutely. So obviously there's some deep problems with the system we have today that could be improved. In my opinion, should just be eliminated. There should be no system in place for what you can own and whatnot. And I'm a little farther right than most anybody I know, and I think things like tanks and helicopters and grenade launchers should also be unregulated because that's really what the Constitution says. But that's
I agree with that. I mean, if I had my way, I would own a Harrier.
Sure.
Yeah. And I would keep it at this little small local airport here in Pittsburgh, and I would just do vertical takeoffs on the weekends and just have fun with it.
and let the market decide, because Harriers are expensive and not everybody's going to be able to afford that.
Yep.
Exactly.
All right. Well, here's the real test of whether you're a Second Amendment supporter or not.
Uh-oh.
And be very, very careful, because how you answer this determines whether we hang up on you or not.
That's not true.
That's not true at all, because Nate controls everything over there. What is your view on open carry?
Oh, man.
Be careful.
Go for it all day long. Okay. All day long. I open carry constantly, guys.
All right. Take your hand off the hang up button, Nate.
I won't hang up.
He's one of us.
I seriously, I open carry. In fact, my girlfriend, she makes a joke about it, and I mean, my friends have. We've even said, like, dude, why are you you have a concealed weapons permit for 41 states? Why don't you just throw your shirt over? I'm like, no, because to be honest with you, I'm a little chubby on the waistline, and sometimes my Glock or whatever I'm carrying will dig into my fat, and I don't want to do that.
Right. Oh, I'm with you there.
Absolutely, and it's at least in my experience, it's a lot easier to draw a weapon that's out in the open than try to draw one that's under a shirt if you ever need it. I couldn't even agree with you more on that, because I've been in that situation, and it's the kind of thing where I absolutely like to have those little paddle holsters with a little button there, and you just break away really fast, and you can get your weapon out. And
right.
That's I'm totally on board with this open carry. I do enjoy carrying concealed if I'm going to go someplace, if I'm in a bar or a club or something like that. I'm not going to open carry, because then people just start fights with you. You know what I mean? It's just
that's a personal opinion.
I definitely go to Starbucks, and I know I irritate some of the people there, and I don't care.
Well, just to let you know, Nate and I were co-founders of Michigan Open Carry, nonprofit open carry group in Michigan, and we also authored a kids book on open carry called My Parents Open Carry. So we're big open carry people. We think it brings gun ownership out of the closet. We think it deters crime, because it's better to avoid any kind of situation with a bad person than having somebody try to, commit a crime against you because your gun's concealed and they don't know it and have to use your gun. We'd rather avoid that situation. So we think open carry has a lot of advantages. And Xander, you're absolutely right. We love you.
Thank you.
Brian's a big
we're slightly
flip-flopper.
changed on the automatic weapons thing, but we're definitely cool with the open
carry.
No,
because I think,
like I said, I love the open carry. I love it.
I think you've come around a little bit on the automatic weapon. I think you understand where we're coming from there. So,
but again, like everything else, personal choice. If you want to carry concealed, I have absolutely no problem with that.
I think there are times when you can conceal, but to say, I don't like open carry, I support it, but I would never do it because you'll be shot first, and it's terrible, and people will be scared, and blah blah blah. Those are all things that we found that they just aren't true.
Yeah, they don't pan out. I don't know what the laws are in Pennsylvania.
Well, yeah,
the laws here are interesting, guys.
The big town.
Basically, what they do is. you can open carry. If you don't have a concealed weapons permit, you're allowed to open carry here.
Yeah, in Michigan
but
too.
You just can't conceal carry.
But
is it the same in Michigan?
Yeah, but Philadelphia has a. They can. You have to have a concealed pistol license to carry in Philadelphia because that's
right.
Over 1 million people. We don't have that in Michigan. We have total preemption. So local municipalities can enact gun laws that are more stringent than the state.
They cannot.
Right.
They cannot. So Pennsylvania, they made an exception for Philadelphia, and we've heard some horror stories about open carry in Philadelphia.
That is true, because Philadelphia is considered a Class 1 city, and it's the only one in the state. Even Pittsburgh, where I live, is not even a Class 1 city, so I walk around open carry in Pittsburgh all day long. It doesn't matter.
And the cops pretty cool with it there?
I'm friends with a few cops. I've had a couple cops look and say, "Wow, he's carrying an FN-57. That jerk. I'd like to carry that gun."
I would too.
I've actually, one time when I was out with a couple of friends, I like the 5.7. It's probably my favorite to open carry, to be honest. Not only does it hold 20 rounds, but it's like thin against the hip and all that stuff. And when we were talking, the officer asked me to see it, or he said, "Do you mind if I take a look?" I said, "Yeah." I did the standard, how to hand a gun, and it wasn't chambered. It was just basic, but it had a clip in there, and he looked at it. He's like, "Wow." He's like, "How does this thing shoot?" And I just said, "It hardly has any recoil. It's like shooting a .22 practically, but the velocity on that bullet is like 1,600 feet per second."
Right.
So
it's nasty.
he was the only person that ever said anything, and he was complimentary of it. It's kind of weird.
That's pretty cool. I'm glad that Pittsburgh PD or
he was a suburban cop. He was
possibility of
actually near me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very good. How about stand your ground laws? I don't know what the law is in Pennsylvania, which is where I was going before Brian jumped all over me.
It's all my fault.
How about stand your ground? People able to defend themselves without having to run away. You're not. No one's ever going to gain any traction with me on that. I am 1,000% rooted in stand your ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
To 100%. That whole Zimmerman fiasco was a freaking joke. And I was ashamed of that people were actually making that big of a deal out of it.
Still is a joke.
I feel bad that somebody died. Okay, it's a sad thing. But at the same time, let's be realistic here. It's not like people don't fight like they fought in the 50s, where they put up their dukes and they punched each other out and they said, "Okay, let's shake hands and over it." No, they try to kill you now.
Right.
It's different. I've seen people fight.
It's
brutal.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there was no evidence suggesting that Zimmerman had done anything illegal up into at all, really. So there wasn't even any evidence to support any of it.
And not only that, he didn't use stand your ground as a defense.
He didn't. But that's when stand your ground came into the media, and that's what they tried to use the case to demonize stand your ground.
Yeah, Michigan, and I think in 2006, 2006, they passed a stand your ground law. So before 2006, you had an obligation to retreat. So,
right, and then I support the stand your ground. At all times, if you don't want, if you don't want to get your brains blown out, then don't be a thug, and don't roll up on somebody and say, "I'm going to, not only am I going to steal this woman's purse, but I think I'm going to beat the living snot out of her too." And she happens to be packing, and she blows your brains out. And, "Oh my God, my son was a good boy." No, really, he was a scumbag.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
Real quick, since you're an animal lover, do you have pets?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have pets?
I do. I have 2 huskies that are very ornery right now.
Ooh,
and you probably heard them growling in the background.
No, we didn't.
Can't hear it, so that's good. But
well, I have a 12-week-old lab puppy that we just got. Our old lab
cool.
we had to put down, but she lived a long, beautiful life, and we got a little rascal now. And Nate's a dog lover. He is fanatically a dog lover. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I'm a little crazy about it, but I think that's okay. He's right here next to me. He's doing all right. So. He's little though.
That's about the only thing that's probably non-conservative about me, guys, is I can't hunt. I just can't pull the trigger on an animal.
Really?
I'm weird like that.
Yeah. No,
all right. Hang up on him, Nate. Hang up on him right now.
I know exactly where you're coming from. I do hunt, but I know where you're coming from.
I don't have a problem with people that do it and they actually use what they kill and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. But if you're just out there just saying, "Hey, I want to see what a living thing looks like when it gets shot by this bullet," I kind of have a little bit of a
completely different. Do you eat meat? I guess it's none of our business, but.
No, I do. But just because I love hamburgers does not mean I want to meet the cow. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. You buy it at the store where they make it, right?
Right. Yeah,
right. I mean, yeah, exactly. And I've tried deer meat, and there's a lot of deer hunting in Pennsylvania.
Sure,
stuff like
sure.
that.
It's all.
And I've tried
like
it. And
number one.
One time I had it, it was decent. The other time I had it, it was terrible. And I thought, wow, you guys are making a big deal about this. I mean, I understand that they do overpopulate this area, and God knows they cause a lot of accidents because there's a ton of them around here. So I don't mind that. I mean, it's just like if somebody says,
it's a personal thing.
I want to shoot this bear so I can have this trophy. Like, no, really, dude? Come on.
Yeah.
Well, bear meat is excellent, but we got to wrap up. So
all right.
we're going to let you say it's Xander Demos.com.
You got it. Yep. .com.
You want to spell that for us?
Go ahead. Spell it.
Yeah, it's XANDERDEMOS.com.
Yeah.
And you can get to all the social media stuff like my YouTube videos and Twitter and Facebook. And I do have to tell you guys that it is not easy being a heavy metal musician that's a conservative. There's Ted Nugent.
I bet.
But,
I hear you.
There's not too many others of us. You know what I mean? A lot of the guys are still like, they're kind of liberal. So sometimes we get into some arguments.
Yeah, and it's not just metal. It's music in general.
It's psychobilly.
I hear you.
Nate,
Punk rock.
Nate has to deal with that too. So.
All right. Well, we want to thank you for being on the show. I want to urge you, do whatever you feel comfortable with, but you should put a round in the chamber when you carry it. It's just much better that way. Cause, it takes time to chamber around if you need that gun. Yeah. Anyway, we want to thank you for being on the show. So, XanderDemos.com.
Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thanks a lot.
And
all right, take care.
We'll see you later, and great success in your career.
Yes, good luck.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. I liked him.
I like his music.
We got him to come around on
on automatics.
Yeah. He was a little off the mark on that, but you know what? Great guess.
Maybe he hadn't thought it through exactly, and maybe we gave him a seed there to plant that he'll think about.
I think so, because he came around and it wasn't like he just conceded, like, you're right.
Right.
He came and said, well, I don't want the government really telling us what to do.
And maybe, So that's good.
But that is all the time we have, so I want to thank you for listening and see you next week.
Bye-bye.